Hello, testing. All right, let me start. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, Mimaki Australia's technical weekly webinar, our third session of 9th of May today. I'd like to go through the details of Mimaki's core technology, NCU and NRS system. So NCU unit stands for Nozzle Check Unit. The NRS stands for Nozzle Recovery System. Those systems are combined in use in order to support the end user when machine is printing to prevent a banding when the missing nozzles happen. So for example, when you have a few missing nozzles on the print, normally the client, our end user, needs to call into the technical support, wait for service technician in order to replace the print head for missing nozzles or get the machine serviced. However, with the recent Mimaki's technology, nozzle check unit and nozzle recovery system will allow the printing customer to continue printing the production without waiting for a service engineer to arrive to change the print head. So in this presentation today for webinar, I'd like to explain more technical details of those systems and when to use those functions. Just for quickly your information, there is a latest video available in the YouTube channel of myself, Tomomitsu Harada, regards to live demonstration of using a nozzle recovery system from machine, which is JV100, our latest sign graphics inkjet printer. So to go over the, to start with a webinar, I'd like to explain the definition of nozzle check unit and nozzle recovery system. What machine supporting and inbuilt those functionalities. I'm explaining two things, not NCU and NRS. However, I have three items regards to NCU and NRS, as well as a nozzle recovery. Because NRS nozzle recovery system, and we call this in general manual nozzle recovery on the third item, is a bit different system regards to how the printer recovers the nozzle. So I'm going to explain, the three separately. The first item is regards to NCU nozzle check unit. If you look at the diagram on the right-hand side, it is the hardware unit, the hardware parts, sitting on the left-hand side of a capping and wiper station. This is NCU nozzle check unit. The nozzle check unit works to physically check the nozzle condition for individual nozzles per print head for the channel to check the missing nozzles and working nozzle in order to input those nozzle working nozzle and missing nozzle information to the machine. So the product which has a nozzle check unit device, we have all 150 and 300 series, both JV, CJV, and UCJV series comes standard. For 3.2 meters roll feed printers, UJV 55 and SWJ 320 has those units as standard. UJF Mark II and Mark II-E model. However, the UJF 3042 Mark II, the smallest printer, you need to add the extra optional as a nozzle check unit separately. However, the 6042, so 6042 Mark II and Mark II-E has one as a standard. UJF 7151 Plus and the 7151 Plus 2 model. TS300 and TS55. Both 500 series of TS and TX500, as well as the all 100 series. Those all models has nozzle check unit device on the printer as a standard. Regards to NRS nozzle recovery system. Nozzle recovery system stands for the automatic remapping of missing nozzles depending on the automatic input from nozzle check unit function. So NCU and NRS needs to be always combined to work with. So all NCU supported or embedded the built-in printers, which is in above, supports NRS nozzle recovery system. Regards to nozzle recovery on the third, the difference of a second and third nozzle recovery system and nozzle recovery. The nozzle recovery function on the third is meant to be a manual nozzle recovery. So it's not the using a sensor and so on. However, it's manually printing the test pattern in order for a printer operator to understand and visually enter the missing nozzle number on the individual channel and individual nozzles to the printer in order to let the printer work for nozzle recovery, nozzle remapping. So some printer does not have a nozzle check unit, which is some of legacy printer, but still supports nozzle recovery function, manual nozzle recovery function, such as JV400 latex and SUV printer, as well as a UJF 3042 and 6042, not a Mark II series that support those functions. So even nozzle check unit is not built into the machine. Some old machines still support a nozzle recovery with a manual the printing. Just before going through the individual functionalities and the menu operations, I'd like to explain that what's the timing to use nozzle check unit and nozzle recovery system or manual nozzle recovery work. So I have 3 different case study to go over, and each case study has different definition of what functionality to use. Number 1, when having 1 to 2 missing nozzles in fixed position. I think in the morning or after you using a printer for a while, you might see 1 or 2 missing nozzles per each colors, not the total, but per each colors is happening. And sometimes it's fixable, but sometimes not fixable. Instead of spending hard time for cleaning the printhead to recover those missing nozzles manually, as long as these are in a fixed position, this is what you're supposed to do. So most of the case, you do not need to activate NCU and NRS or nozzle recovery. Because most of the time, 1 or 2 missing nozzles in a printhead will not affect the printing quality. Second case, when you have 3 to 10 missing nozzles, it can be up to 16. However, as a case study, I put 3 to 10 missing nozzles, as well as these are fixed positions. So if you have the 8 channels of a nozzle rows, you might have up to 80 missing nozzles existing, but however, it still works for nozzle recovery function. Our recommendation to use is a nozzle recovery function as a manual within the maintenance menu. In the maintenance menu, the nozzle recovery function, as soon as you enter the missing nozzles and registered on the printer operation panel, it's immediately supporting from your first printing. Because NCU and NRS only works for after printing 1 image without any input from the sensor. So if you'd like to recover the missing nozzles, from the first printing, you must perform the nozzle recovery manually in order to enter the current condition to effect for first printing. For nozzle recovery, in the maintenance menu nozzle recovery, the manual work, you have max 10 missing nozzles for line to recover. So if you have more than 11 missing nozzles per line, you need to decide what missing nozzles more than 11 to not to cover. The last case study, the when having nozzle comes and goes or printing overnight. Depends on the condition of the print head or oldness of the print head, or whether you are printing for overnight or a couple hours for unattending. This is the time you should activate automatic nozzle check unit and nozzle recovery system. Because when you leave your workplace, you might have perfect printing, perfect test print. However, after a few hours printing, 1 or 2 missing nozzles may happen while you are not there, and you might want to have a machine's capability to check the nozzle and recover the nozzle manually, automatically. Those automatic work, NCU and NRS, you are able to recover a maximum 16 nozzles per line for automatic work. So again, if you'd like to have the fixed nozzle to be recovered, use nozzle recovery as a manual in the maintenance menu from fast printing. But if you have good printing, good test print, but if you would like to be sure that the nozzles are okay for overnight or a few hours printing, then you use NCU and NRS for automatic detections. This page explains how you operate the automatic NCU and NRS. The reason I'm showing this page is because there are a few bits of the items you need to have a good understanding before you set the nozzle check function. So to go to automatic NCU and NRS functionality, you can press menu button and go to the nozzle check under the menu. Do not go to maintenance menu, but the nozzle check menu, the direct under the menu. And you have three different menu here. The print check. Print check is normally for the regards to nozzle check unit, the setup. Nozzle recovery is for NRS menu. And the judgment condition is, to set up the details of how you want a machine to detect or start doing a nozzle recovery. All right, let's go one by one. The regards to a printing check. The printing check is to activate entire NCU and NRS function. Because without detecting, without turning on enabling NCU, the NRS nozzle recovery will not work. So the factory setting of the nozzle check unit, NCU, is off. So you need to set it on in order to start working on the automatic nozzle check. When you set it up on the printing check, you will have a sub-menu, check interval, and action. And if you look into the the latest firmware of JB100, there is another menu, continuation of printing. So what you basically set up in those three menus? In a check interval, there are two menus that to select the length of file. This menu is to set up whether if you'd like to have a nozzle check frequency determined by length of printing or number of the job. Myself, I prefer setting up the as a file quantity, because most of the time, as a sign writers, sign printing shop, most of the job is a poster size, A0 or A1 size. So there's not much fluctuation of the size of the job. So it's easy to manage the nozzle check timing as a file. When you'd like to set up a length to check the frequency, just be careful that when you set up the less length than the actual size of the job. For example, if you set up a length of checking every 10 meters. However, if you are printing 15 meters of the job, the nozzle check function, automatic nozzle check, will only work between job and job. So for printing 15 meters length job, the nozzle check will happen after printing 15 meters of job and before printing the next job. Right. However, you can detect the length of file, each length or each files, or the count of the length of file to set up the frequency of the nozzle check. For technical purpose to explain that we recommend between 10 meters to 15 meters to check the nozzle check. For continuation of printing, you can check stop or continue printing. What's going to happen here is if you would like to keep printing with nozzle recovery, yes, you can. You must set continue printing. However, sometimes customer would like to just manage the perfect nozzle to print their job. So they can, if they prefer to not to print anything until operator comes back in the morning, so you can set up stop for that purposes. For the action, even the nozzle recovery is to be activated in the next menu. The machine will anyway can try to perform a cleaning to see if a nozzle will recover by a physical cleaning or not. So even the cleaning is not a success, but it will recover the nozzle automatically by remapping afterwards. However, if there is missing nozzles happens suddenly by a printing, I would recommend to perform at least soft cleaning in order to just try, sucking the ink from the print head to, try recovering that one indent nozzle instead of just leaving that new missing nozzles for unmaintained. You can set a cleaning retry count from 0 to 3. I normally set it 0 because I'm enough with the one cleaning to perform. So if you set 0, it only does one cleaning before nozzle recovery. Next menu is nozzle recovery. So nozzle recovery must be activated if you'd like to remap the nozzle. So without recovery of the nozzle, after nozzle check, it will continue printing. However, it will not recover the nozzle. So I recommend always to set it on the printing check, the nozzle check, and nozzle recovery as well as a one set. Regards to judgment condition, it is a bit tricky though. Just going back to a case study here. As I said, between 1 to 2 missing nozzles per line mostly not affect the print quality. So in case if you have fixed 1 or 2 missing nozzles already happened and you already know that it's not affecting to a print quality, so you might want to change the number of the judgment condition from 1, which is default, to maybe 3, because you already know that there are 2 missing nozzles already exist. However, if you leave it 1, it will do the cleaning because machine doesn't know that if this is a new missing nozzles or old missing or existing missing nozzles. So if you already know that the couple of missing nozzles already appeared, already existing, but you don't really care about detecting again and so on, then you can set up instead of 1, just change to 3 or 4. Depends on how many missing nozzles you already have in your printhead as a fixed. All right. Addition to that, let me go over the manual nozzle recovery operation. So the manual nozzle recovery operation is under the maintenance menu. So don't go to a nozzle check menu direct from the menu, but go into a maintenance menu and select nozzle recovery. In the sub menu, you have a menu print, entry, reset, check, and test print, right? Most of the time, select a print unless you already printed before and you cancel the function. So that way you already have a test print, test chart printed for enter the missing nozzle information. What you do here is after you select printing, then depends on the printer model, it prints a nozzle pattern, but a different shape. For instance, JB300 or UCJB300, the machine will print the those thin lines for all 8 channels. In case of a JB300, you have a submenu of a head 1 or head 2, because most of the time only one head has a missing nozzles, and you want to save the media to print another head pattern. However, it will print the individual the nozzle lines per channels, and if you zoom up, it looks like this. It actually prints. Let me just specify. It actually prints individual nozzles with a number tag. So you can see it starts in individual line. It starts from 1 to 10. Next line there is no 11. So between 1 and 21, it starts from 11. So 11 to 20, such and such. So you basically need to understand what is individual nozzle number, which is missing, which has an opened space. And then you need to go to after printing the pattern, you have a select of what printhead number and what channel number to enter the missing information. For example, if this is a head 1A and missing number 16, 128, and 184, you select head 1A channel and you enter the individual values 16, 128, and 184. Right? Sometimes you misunderstand the number of the nozzle. Instead of 184, you enter 186. It can happen. In order to confirm if your manual nozzle recovery entry works or not, what you do is you need to turn on the test print. So the nozzle recovery result will be activated and will refer to the the nozzle test, the test print as well. So the test print will affect the nozzle recovery. So you already saw the missing nozzles, but as long as you don't see the missing nozzles from auto remapping on the test print, your nozzle recovery, the manual nozzle recovery is success. On a JB100 model, it prints MCYK as the vertically in a vertical order. So it uses quite amount of the media. The reason why it's doing it is because JB100 printhead is more denser than the JB300 UCJB300 printhead. So in that case, it needs to expand a little bit to a horizontal direction in order to be able to see the individual missing nozzles easily. Just in the last page about tips and tricks and know-how regards to the NRS, NCU and NRS functions. The first one, NRS and nozzle recovery result does not work on the smallest pass number on each print conditions. For instance, just to be easy, CJB 150 has a one print head, 8 color machine, so MCYK, light cyan, light magenta, and light black, as well as orange setting. It has a print head which is 180 dpi per every colors. So this is how you understand the smallest pass number. If you are printing 720 by 720 dpi, high speed, how that works is 180 dpi in a print head is the direction of front and back, right? So it is a print head, works for front and back 180 dpi. The resolution setting here, the first number is for scan direction. The second number is for the front and back feed direction. So you focus on this number, 720. Right, then you basically divide the number 720 by 180. So the answer will be 4, right? So in order to make 720 dpi with 180 dpi printed, you need at least 4 pass to print. So is 4 pass minimum pass? Is 4 minimum pass not effective the nozzle recovery? Yes or no? Depends on the speed setting. If you choose standard speed for the normal scanning, yes, 4 pass will be smallest pass number. However, if you select a high speed from the RIP, the high speed is what to sacrifice the pass quantity to be double in order to get more resolution, in order to get better quality, basically. So when you are setting high speed, the double number of smallest pass will be the smallest pass for the high speed. So 8 pass, which is double from 4 pass, is the smallest pass for 720 dpi by 720 dpi high speed. So if you select 720 dpi by 720 dpi high speed 8 pass from the RIP software, the nozzle recovery does not work for your printing. So you need to change from 8 to 10 or 12 or 16. So at least not the 8 pass in order to make a nozzle recovery work. Another example, 540 by 720. That's the same understanding. So the resolution on the front and back is 720. So 4 pass will be the smallest pass for 180 dpi print heads. However, it's printing high speed, so 8 pass will be minimum pass for this print condition. So don't print 8 pass for nozzle recovery to be effective. 720 by 1080 dpi, so it's a different number, 1080. So in the 1080 dpi divided by 180 will be 6. So 6 will be a minimum pass to print. But for high-speed printing, it will be 12 pass, which is a double of 6. So 12 pass does not work for nozzle recovery. So please understand that the nozzle recovery should set the not the non-minimum pass of the print condition to effective the nozzle recovery setting. It doesn't matter the manual nozzle recovery or automatic, nozzle check and nozzle recovery, but it should be not minimum pass in order to affect nozzle recovery result. This is other cause that the cleaning nozzle check unit device is essential, especially after you turn on the nozzle check unit. after the while of printer installation, there may be some ink overspray. Ink mist is already attached to a printer. The nozzle check unit sensor. So you might see the sensor level low, such an error message. So in that case, how the end user can avoid this is look at this sensor slit. This sensor slit is just the size of their cleaning swab. So with a green stick cleaning swab, just stick that hardly to the inside and make sure that you clean like a zigzag, not from a sliding back to front and front to back, but just to do a zigzag with the vertically up and down the cleaning swab in order to wipe the ink overspray or ink stuck inside of the nozzle check limit sensor. So lastly, I would like to play my 10 minutes video. However, let me just stop recording. So I will just keep this recorded webinar as shared in YouTube. Thanks for watching. Please hold on.